Welcome back, America. One of the most exciting things going across this country right now is the constitutional carry movement. It is growing faster and stronger every day, and we have the perfect guest to walk us through why this has caught fire. Joining us right now is Lieutenant Colonel Willis K. Lee, the first Vice President of the National Rifle Association of America. Lieutenant Colonel, good to have you on today.
John, Amanda, it's great to be on here. This is an exciting time for us and for our movement. Thanks for having me.
It is an incredible time. You're getting closer to 25 states. Like half the country is there with constitutional carry. Really, it seems like just the last 2 years. How did this catch fire, and where does it go next?
Well, it's half the states. It's more than half the country by geography and by population. And we're pretty excited about it because it's coming back to constitutional carry. You know, when we started as a nation, this was not a big deal. But through the years of gun control, we've seen the need to have states declare constitutional carry. Up to 25 now. We've got a couple more on deck ready to come in with us. So we're pretty excited about that. And it's simply giving us our rights back that the government's taken.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. In fact, I always make this snarky comment, and John hears it all the time when people talk about constitutional carry. Constitutional carry exists in all 50 states, regardless of whether they recognize it or not. So it's wonderful that they are finally allowing us to have our constitutional Second Amendment rights back. But I wanted to ask you about what's happening in New York in the wake of the Buffalo shooting. Governor Kathy Hochul signed executive orders for more gun control in a state like New York, where you already have very strict gun control. I just don't see how, I don't understand how people believe that more gun laws are going to actually prevent these types of things.
Well, it's interesting, Amanda. It's not more people, it's more Democrat politicians who believe that. One of the video clips that went viral was one of the witnesses there who outright said, look, if more of us had been armed, if more of us knew how to use a firearm and allowed to carry it, we could have stopped this a lot sooner. Less people would have been dead. Less people would have been injured. So the people know that it's important that we have our Second Amendment rights and that we'd be able to exercise those. And if for no other reason, when criminals know that their victims could be armed, could fight back, they tend to go somewhere else. And we're hoping they go somewhere else away from us.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The Supreme Court, there'll be a new justice replacing Justice Breyer Such. She's pretty liberal, not a big fan of the Second Amendment based on her answers. Where do you think the court lies right now on this very important issue of the Second Amendment?
We're feeling good about it. After the oral arguments at the end of the year, we're feeling very good about this, and we're seeing the direction the Supreme Court's going, not toward the right, but toward the Constitution, and that's important. So we get our constitutional rights back. When they make this decision that's coming up, announce this decision, because I think it's probably already been made and they're writing their rulings. It's going to make a big change, certainly for the 8 states that are right now may issue states and make them shall issue. But we're hoping it's widespread enough to do that and not just a very narrow decision about New York itself.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you specifically about that New York Pistol and Rifle Association case. It obviously deals with New York, but there are states like the one that I live in, California, but also Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, I think Jersey's another one that have those similar laws. If the Supreme Court rules in favor of allowing people to have their Second Amendment freedom, is that something that will pretty precipitously spread to other states like mine?
That's certainly what we're hoping. It depends on how narrow they make their decision or how wide it'll be. And so we'll see where that goes. You know, Amanda, the other problem is ever since Heller and McDonald decisions by the Supreme Court, the Democrats in the not just legislative branch, but judicial branch also just want to fight. They want to try and ignore these decisions, and it's catching up with them. So we'll see. This is an NRA case, our third after the other 2 I just mentioned, that we've actually managed to get to the Supreme Court, and we're excited about the decision and certainly hoping it comes out in favor of the Constitution.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are rooting for that. Joe Biden, we've got a new ATF director. We got some new policies and things. How would you rate the Biden administration on Second Amendment freedoms 15 months into their tenure?
Well, the administration itself, John, it's incredible. They're terrible. They are terrible. And this is probably the most anti-gun administration we've ever seen across the board. But let me throw in here, they came into power saying they were going to ban our semi-autos. They were going to ban magazines, what they call high capacity. They were going to revoke the PLCAA, which is the Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act. None of that has happened. None of it's happened because NRA members have stood up. They fought across America to make sure we are able to maintain our rights. So while Biden wants to be anti-gun, take a look, and you just put the chart up on the screen there. 25 constitutional carry states. That's been the pushback against these people, as we've seen Democrats encourage riots, encourage violence, let criminals out of jail, defund the police. Now, America's going in the right way right now because the people are speaking, because NRA members are working hard.
Yeah, and I absolutely don't discount the work that the NRA is doing, because you guys are always fighting for Second Amendments, but for the Second Amendment. But I also think that the Biden administration may have recognized the lack of popularity with some of the things that they said they wanted to do, because we know that empty barrels make the most noise, and the fringe elements of the left are the ones who were calling for these most extreme forms of gun control. But I do wonder if they looked at maybe some internal polling, and I think this about the Disinformation Board as well, too. I think they looked at polling and figured out that it wasn't even popular with Democrats. And the evidence I use, the receipts that I will bring to the table, is that in liberal cities like Los Angeles, applications for gun permits have shot straight up. So do you think that it's also a result of them figuring out that a lot of these policies simply aren't popular with, I guess, the more moderate section of their base?
You're absolutely right, Amanda. I don't think it's just the polling. They can ask any of their people, any of their members, whenever they have their own town halls or whatever meetings they have. They can see the trend. People want to be able to defend themselves, defend their families, protect their property. So as they're watching that, we're seeing, those of us in politics, notice that they've pretty much taken this issue off the table. They don't want to talk about gun control. They don't want to talk about restricting our rights, because right now, the movement toward all of those 16 million first-time firearms owners, they're not all on the right side. A lot of them are on the left side because they want to protect themselves and their family.
Yeah, that they do. Willis, we got 30 seconds left. Big day, 8 days from now, President Trump addresses the NRA ILA leadership in Texas. How important is that going to be?
It's incredibly important. I tell you what, we're going to have a conference hall full of folks who love President Trump and people that he loves. We've got 14 acres, John, of firearms, gear, and accessories there. And then you top that off by having President Trump come address us at the ILA Forum. It's an exciting time. We're in Houston next weekend. Everybody ought to come visit us.
Yep. Real America's Voice are going to be
John,
right there with you. Willis, great to have you on, sir.
We'll see you there.
All right. You have a good one. Thank you, Sarah. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to take you to the grocery line. I know you say, what's that about? We've got Adam Catt, author of the Life on the Grocery Line book. It's such an amazing story, how we got through the pandemic, thanks to the brave workers of those grocery lines. I'll have that right after this commercial break.